Did you listen to Jeff and Professor Hamo in the morning? Here's what you missed.
We have with us the member of National Assembly representing the people of Uriri, Honorable Mark Nyamita. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Thank you for making the time for us on Hot 96 this early morning. I think we have a number of things to discuss. He's, by the way, from Migori County, so there's been some terrible news that's been coming out of there, you know, an accident, a governor, a senator dying, but he's doing some fantastic things there for the youth in his constituency, and we will get to that. So worry not, for all those people who've been saying, what's happening in Migori, people need to pray, and there's something going on. Well, you know, there's also good things that are happening in that county, and he'll be telling us about that a little later on. But first, Mheshimiwa, there's been quite a bit happening in the country. Exams are in day 2. What do you think about everything that's been happening? CSs and top government officials, even in the Ministry of Education, have been out there making sure that, you know, there's no fraud. And some people have called it the militarization of exams. Others have said, well, you know, this is the price we pay for a somewhat cheating society. I mean, even today we understand the president will be out there. What do you think about how this whole exam has been treated?
Well, let me say that the militarization should happen, the exam body, not in schools. I actually think it is complete intimidation of the students. I saw a photo yesterday of a policeman with an AK-47 walking around the class as the students. And now you wonder what danger is it going to be.
It's like let's say, exams at
and then let's look at even a worst case scenario. Even if he saw a child trying to unleash what they were calling Mwakenya. They were unleashing a Mwakenya from the pocket. Would he cock the gun? So why is he carrying a gun and walking around the class? It is completely unnecessary. Number 2, if the enthusiasm we have seen around the cabinet secretaries would be something that they're doing year-round to check on the school infrastructure, how our children do not have books in school, how the schools are underfunded, how our children do not have uniforms, how our schools do not have adequate teachers, we will be getting somewhere. It is unnecessary to do a big show now. Cabinet secretaries, permanent secretaries, chief administrative secretaries, and I'm told the president today going around, it's really unnecessary PR. It's unnecessary for the children, because let me tell you, there are children who have never even seen their member of parliament, leave alone the cabinet secretary. So the mere presence of the cabinet secretary in itself is enough to distract them.
Intimidate them?
Not even to intimidate, but it's enough to distract them. Because some of them want to even look at it. I remember when I was in primary, and when Moe used to come by the roadside, it would be a big day. We were carrying a flag, and you would push your colleagues up and about to try and see, to get a glimpse of the president. So when children are doing exams, and you know children are easily distracted. So now the cabinet secretary, also this is the guy we saw on TV. Oh yeah, and they're supposed to be for exams. I want to challenge the government from the president, who apparently is going out today, and the whole of his team, at this level of enthusiasm, they should be doing it to try and understand the challenges that we're doing in schools, instead of giving us a big show about a simple rite of passage. If anything, all the children who are going to do this are going to proceed. Yeah,
which is what the cabinet secretary...
Absolutely. And when we give, they don't do well. Because they think that it's a matter of life and death.
Still making it a high-stakes game. Speaking of the president, he was on an interview with Richard Quest. He was asked about seeking a third term. He said no. It was very emphatic. And he says that the push by various people in the country, particularly politicians, to amend the constitution is all about reducing the cost of running the constitution. But whose referendum is this, Mark? Is this a people's referendum? Is it an MP's referendum? Is this the handshake with... Are we going to see a Russia situation with Medvedev and Putin, and they keep swapping places? Whose push is this, really?
If you ask me, this push is really the people's. And why do I say so? Let's look at previous elections. After every single election, people have to fight. And sometimes probably when you guys here in the studio decide not to talk politics, because probably you are sitting on either side of the divide. And the reason is this. We have about 15 million voters, let's say. One candidate gets 8, the other one gets 7. When you have a following, I go to parliament with 34,000 votes. when you have 7 million Kenyans expressing confidence in a particular leader, there are certain things that he represents for those particular people. What we are saying is that this person who is getting 7 million should actually just not be sent back home to the village. But we are not saying that we need to create a position for him, but we need to find a way of accommodating his views in a constructive way.
Aren't his views represented in the National Assembly? For example, in this case, Raila Odinga did not win the election, but ODM has a sizable number of members of National Assembly and in the Senate.
Very well. Views are represented in the Senate, in the National Assembly, but we also need this at the executive level. Let me tell you, this country has gone, and if we are to be very honest with each other, this country is completely tribal, especially during elections. And when people go to vote, I can tell you, people begin to think, oh, we are in 229. Forget a bit about nationally, where people think that you so and so is from Central, the other one is from Rift. Even when you go to the village, let me tell you where I come from, for example. I'm an immigrant in that particular area, or so they call me, yet I was born and bred there. During elections is when they remember that this gentleman was not originally from here. But when you go even to the MCA level, people begin to get into clans and start saying, this one so is from clan A and clan B. So we are tribal. For us to feel that we are not excluded, at the top, every single Kenyan must feel that they are a bit represented. And so, there's a debate Kenyans are thinking that if we created 3-4 positions at the top, it's going to shoot the way bill high.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, all we need to do is fight corruption. The amount that is lost in corruption is 5 times the total wage of elected positions in this country.
Okay, so if we're talking about inclusion and we want everybody, you know, the executive or whatever it is to have the face of Kenya, but is that really inclusion per se? Will I feel more included in this government because I have seen somebody from my area or the person whom I voted for but didn't win up there? I mean, is inclusion about seeing people in specific positions, or is it really about much more than that, distribution of resources? Because that is another matter altogether. It sounds like what we are creating then is positions for everyone. So Mark, the question then would be, why would we then bother with elections? If the winner and the loser are all there, then let's not have elections. Let's have a boardroom situation where we all sit and decide and share all of these things amongst us.
Distribution of resources, and especially as it has happened in this country, depends on who sits in office. One time, and I want you to go to the
But
archives.
hasn't this constitution changed that?
No, just hold on. When I want you to go back, one time the president said that this country, the people who fought for the independence, the Kikuyus, they fought very hard, followed by the Kalenjins. And today the government was being run by Kikuyus and Kalenjins. And the president was on record in first term when he said something like that. Later on, he actually apologized to Kenyans. That was really, it was in a different state. But that's not a discussion today. When you say that, and look at the cabinet, the Jubilee government in the last election, you'd find if the minister is from Central, the CS, the PS is from the Rift, and it was just like that. And we could go even about it. It's only in this particular government when now the president has tried to, amend 1 or 2 things. That's not what we want to see. That's not inclusiveness. We want that at the table, where these things are actually being discussed. We want to see the Ogieks in government. We want to see the Maasais. We want to see the Luos. We want to see the Luyas. We want to see the Pokomos. And that's what we're talking about.
Wasn't
because
that
the thing,
push
because this is what has
when
happened.
we promulgated this constitution, when we devolved resources, when we devolved the decision-making process, that you don't have to see an Ogiek up there, but as long as the Ogiek, wherever he is able to make decisions about what matters to him.
And that's what we envisaged with the constitution. And a couple of years back, 8 years later, we are thinking it hasn't resolved that. And that's why we are saying, remember even when we passed this constitution, we said 20% is not well. So we are going to get another, 80% is okay, 20%.
It's not.
We just want to fix the 20%.
Okay, so what is that one thing? Yes.
There is something, unajua vile mheshimiwa anasema ni kama when you accept my hand in marriage. Nikisha kuchukua tuende kwa tufanye harusi, tunafikiria vile excess wataingia wapi kwa sababu tumewaacha nje. Unaona? Excess. But you see, if you're talking about the table, watu ambao wanakaa hapo kwa meza. How about we think about institutions? we change the institution.
Ukiongea story ya ex nikuulize kama umeshaoa, if you marry, is it getting another one wakae wawili kwa nyumba or continuing to perambulate all over the place?
You have to prove that one.
So you just invite everyone on the table. So then don't be married. That's the thing. So don't be married.
You can't
just have everybody. No. Have everybody on the table. So what you're saying is, what would be the question in your mind? The referendum question. What is it?
Let's not think about that this referendum is about creating positions. That's not it. The referendum is about inclusiveness. The referendum is about having a team.
Creating a position.
No, let me tell you.
The executive.
The referendum. I tell you, there are parts of this country that have never seen anything. I can tell you. If you came to Migori, I don't know the last time there was a big project that came from the national government. And this...
But that's not how it's supposed to be under devolution.
No.
Right?
Listen to
money comes from the national government, goes to the counties. The counties are also supposed to generate their own revenue and decide
I am
what they
saying
want.
The money that goes to the county government is only 15%. The 85%, which is the biggest chunk, also does something. And it does the bigger part.
Okay, so what you're saying is you want more money going to the counties?
So what I'm saying, one of the things is that we want to push for more money is going to the counties. And once it has gone to the counties, because we have also seen counties are struggling with the capacities and the governance issues at the county level and all those things. What we are thinking, and I'm saying there is still not yet a structured way of where the views are going to be, but what I know, the spirit of the house is one the money has come from national government and has gone to the county government, we want to devolve that money further by law to the wards, to the constituency. So for example, if my county, Migori, which has 8 constituencies, receives 10 billion in a year, 2 billion is going to be for salaries and recurrent expenditure. The 8 billion that is for development, we want to see about 6 billion being divided into the constituencies. Another 2, you can leave the executive to decide at the county, maybe a bigger project that covers all the others, so that the governor does not have 100% authority to decide that this 6 billion, because we've seen this happening. Money gets to the counties, and the governor can say, okay, I have 8 constituencies, 3 are enough to re-elect me. So he only does work in the other 3.
But isn't that what the MCAs are there to do?
And that's what I'm saying. No, MCAs, they try and do the oversight.
County budgets?
They pass the county budget, but once they pass the county budget, how these guys implement, that's why we are seeing a lot of corruption cases.
But it is the MCAs who provide oversight, just like you do at the National Assembly.
Let me tell you.
With passing the budget, but also holding the executive to account.
I can tell you, I also sit in the budget committee.
Yeah.
And we pass the budget. But now at the National Assembly, at the county levels, if the reports that we've been seeing from the Auditor General is anything to go by, there is complete murder of the law. If I may use that word, this is what happens. They will pass a budget in Parliament, in the National County Assembly. Okay. But what is actually being implemented is completely different.
And so how would a constitutional referendum change that? Wouldn't it just be to say that we make sure that the MCAs are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing? Does that need a constitutional referendum?
Let me say one. Counties have brought something to the counties have brought some little. They've changed the face of a number of constituencies and counties. Okay. But when we put it in the law, that money must be devolved, and when it goes to the ward level, there is a team that actually manages it. The governor is going to be compelled, because even after kutoka proper system, that money goes straight. So if there's going to be anyone who's going to mess with it, it's going to be at the ward level. At the ward level, assuming they mess around with another 20%, 80% will be felt. But now when it is centralized, and that's what we're saying, it is going that way. So because of those gaps that we have seen, whereby governors are able to manipulate the MCAs, you know what they will simply do? You've seen MCAs fighting for trips to go to the US, to go to Nigeria. Some even fighting to go to Rwanda.
Pre-retirement program training in Dubai.
Yeah, can you imagine? Now, so this is what happens. The governors and they also will find what they'll do. Okay, you guys want to go? So let's create a Kidogo budget. You're given money. The critical ones have gone. While you're away, the bill is brought to the floor of the house.
And passed.
You understand? And passed. So if you have also other few issues here, my friend will cover with you for another trip. The guy goes for a trip, he makes per diem for 300,000-400,000. He's happy. and forget it. So those are the small loopholes that we have identified and say that now we really need to think of how do we change it where it matters. The other thing is that my thinking is that during elections, I think having 6 elections in one day is a bit too much for Kenyans. So what we want to do is, what we will be proposing is that these elections be divided into 2. Let's have the presidential and the gubernatorial elections held at once, and then members of parliament, MCAs, and the others.
Elections.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 2 elections, 2 different times. So that, many people went into that election, and let me tell you, because voter education was also not properly done. Someone went there, and that's why you hear, hapa ni Jubilee to Jubilee. So someone goes there, 6 piece, forgetting what exactly is happening there. So what we're saying, we want to have elections divided into 2. There are issues of women and gender representation. Today we haven't achieved what the Constitution envisaged, which is a 2/3 in terms of representation. Those are the issues that now we want to also try and see.
How would that be solved? Because there have been so many attempts since 2010, bills that have been written, even when Chief Konga was there.
There are a couple of proposals. Yeah. We might even just say, how about every, instead of having a woman rep, who, after being elected out of 8 constituencies, he comes and represents, he's a member, he's at the National Assembly just like myself.
Yes, he's actually a county MP.
You understand?
Yeah.
So how about we probably say X number of constituencies produce a woman rep? You understand? I mean, there are many proposals. For example, what Sholei had actually proposed, she was saying, let's kill the women rep per county, and let's say for every 3 constituencies is a woman representative. Yeah, or something like that. Then there was a debate on is the numbers going to go higher or lower, like that. Okay. We could even say all the nominated slots, all first go to women. We look at how much that number. But I mean, we haven't got into the details of how then we're going to do. But those are some of the things, some of the proposals.
Would this referendum talk have happened were it not for the handshake?
It would have been a difficult discussion, I can tell you. Not only for the referendum debate, but also for even in terms of running the government. Today, we would probably still be having fights across the streets. Now let me tell you, the handshake was inevitable for the government to have actually run, because businesses were affected, government is struggling, and the after effects of that elections are still being felt to date. I'm sure even you guys who run adverts, because I mean, media runs on adverts, I'm sure even your revenues are dipped, because every single sector wasn't doing very well. The government was almost at a point where they were going to struggle with raising money even to pay salaries. The opposition, NASA, one of our other far-fetched plans, we had said, now that we had our own president, we were going to have our own tax regime. What? That's what's going to happen. We're going to say,
you have to raise your own revenue.
Yeah, so people are to pay, when you're paying your tax, you pay it to a different, whatever. I mean, it would have just been chaotic. Probably would have lost this nation. And, let me tell you, if the cost of peace in this country is going to be brought also, we have seen what the handshake has done. If the peace, which is what we require before anything else, is going to be, this referendum is going to anchor that peace for the future generations, then let's go for it.
Well, the reason I ask that is because there's people who don't quite see it that way. They don't quite see that this referendum is anchoring peace on the basis of that handshake. But it seems rather politically convenient for both Raila Odinga and the president to politically fix somebody who was not on the steps of Harambee Avenue. And it's how convenient that now you're all singing the same tune, you're in the same choir. Some are singing alto, others are singing soprano and bass, but you're all singing the same song now with respect to a referendum. In other words, my question is this referendum all about 2022 politics and set to fix the Deputy President, William Ruto, and his political ambitions?
I'm actually surprised that the Deputy President would be the last person not to support this constitution, because he opposed it.
Well, he is on record as saying,
He
let there
opposed
be
it.
a referendum.
No. He is on record having said, let there be a referendum, let it not be there. If it is there, because let us do A, B, C, and D. You know, he's speaking from both sides of the mouth, and that's a fact. He did oppose this constitution. And I want to probably use this medium and tell the people who are opposed to it, including himself, that we are trying to fix a problem here that he saw at that particular point. So let him not be worried. And really, people keep saying that we want to fix the deputy president. He's being fixed. Where is it that he's being fixed? Who said that he's going to be the one who has... Where is it written in this constitution that he must be the president? Why is it that any machinations is like it is him who is going to be fixed? I can run for president. I have all the qualifications. You can run for president. Why are we reducing this debate to one single individual? And so always saying, oh, it's him who wants to be fixed. It is him who wants to be fixed. My friend, in fact, if there's any statement I've liked about, and I really didn't want to get into this particular line, but I want to say, the president, when he was in the M-Pesa Academy, I think, when he was asked, what is it that he wants to see? And yesterday I heard him say that he doesn't want to run for a third term. We wouldn't allow him to run for a third term, even if he wanted to anyway. But we are saying, when I heard him say that if there is one legacy that he wants to leave, he wants to leave a cohesive country, free of corruption. With that statement alone, I can tell you here, Yvonne, I know who's not going to be president.
Umesikia baridi?
Jeff and Jamo, I'm sorry.
I was wondering.
Jeff and Hamo on what?
Ni Kiruri FM.
At Hot_96 Kenya at Yvonne Okwara at Hamo Prof. And we're joined still by MP for Hon Mark Nyamita. His Twitter handle is at Nyamita1.
Yes.
We're talking about the push for the referendum. Let me take a look at some of your tweets, the conversation we had. Shiko Mzuri says that guy is not realistic. If politicians don't see that we're overrepresented, then we don't need this referendum. More positions are being created here. Ndongo Kiarie says inclusion is making it possible for Kenyans to afford basic needs. Too bad voters are only used as a bridge to give a few looting muscles. Very unfortunate.
Fibonacci anasema, Mheshimiwa, why can't the MPs create laws before amending constitution? It's 2022 agenda. I think watu hapa wako na shida moja tu. What basic needs are you talking about? Do you know you need 200 to have 1 million a day? Unga, sukari, sukuma wiki, and maziwa.
And also kerosene.
Yeah, I mean,
all right. So those are some of the issues that are coming out online that people are talking. So keep tweeting. His Twitter handle is at Nyamita1. So you want to include him in your tweets. The hashtag is Jeff and Hamo on hot. Okay, so keep that coming. Now, so we left it at a bombshell, which I will not go back to.
Yes.
But I think everybody heard it.
So
how are we moving forward now? So you've said this is about some loopholes that have been noted, you know, in the Constitution, and that we're now trying to fix it. Is this even the right time to have a referendum, considering what's happening at IEBC? Is it properly constituted now? Do you still trust this same electoral body to manage a referendum when you expressed such displeasure with how they conducted themselves in 2017?
My very opinion, one, the current IBC must all go home. And I can tell you, it's just a matter of time, they are all going home. Chibukati and his team, 100% nyumbani, Kakamega huko. You know, they are trying to throw so and so did this, so and so did this. The whole team is definitely going home. I mean, this IEBC, I really don't want even to get back there.
How do we send them home? We don't have a law in place to even replace them. Remember, the law that brought them in place was the one that kicked out Isaac Hassan and his team. It was the bipartisan committee in Parliament. Like, how do we even begin to do that? It seems like we've got a lot to do before we even discuss
IBC can even go home on a petition. When a petition is brought to Parliament and there's sufficient grounds.
That's fine, but how do we replace them? So it means we have to create another committee, because it just seems like we're doing things very ad hoc.
No, we will create another committee. And actually the debate is about, in the creation of that committee that is going to bring them on board, is that we want to go now, what we call a bipartisan approach, almost the IPPG model, whereby, you know, different stakeholders. And people think that it's politicians.
But
no.
Isn't that what happened? Isn't that how we got here with the Chebukati team?
That's fine. But I mean, really, we can't stop doing it until, let me tell you, even in the county governments, where we're having governance issues, let's keep sending more monies to the counties. The issues of who is going to do proper management, we can fix it. But the bigger thing is, in the constitution, let's fix what needs to happen. I mean, even in this country, we had 24 years of Moi, we had 10 years of Kibaki, now we're going to have 10 years of Uhuru, and another 10 years of another person who's going to come in. Yeah?
Maybe another 5. Why are we saying 10?
Maybe another 5.
That's not that presumptuous, isn't it?
Maybe another 5
Okay.
of the next president. And all this, through these years, we've been seeing improvement in terms of a few elements of governance. I mean, if you compare the Kibaki administration and Moi's, there was a complete difference in this country. We felt it. You understand? We have compared Uhuru's and Kibaki's. Of course, there's a difference. I just don't know whether it is up or lower. But if you ask me, I think Kibaki still did a better job. If you ask me. But that doesn't mean that we don't elect presidents, because the previous president probably did a wrong thing. Okay? So the fact that the last IEBC messed does not mean we don't have other Kenyans of good standing.
Yvonne,
yes.
I can ask.
Yes.
When you say that Chebukati waende nyumbani, somebody who sits at home na aliona juzi speaker akienda kwa choo ya bunge kufanya investigation ya allegations ya mlipatiwa 10,000 ndio mpitishe ama mkatae kitu fulani, and you say that we need to trust this parliament to pitisha petition ya kupeleka watu nyumbani. Hapa hata nyinyi mnahitaji tufanye petition nje ya bunge.
Allegations. You know, I really don't want to speak about, because it's allegations. But I can tell you,
yes,
even in media, let me tell you, corruption is all over this country, including in media. If I want my story to go online, maybe lazima nitapatia Ivan Okwara kakitu hapa hivi kidogo. Then the headline, I'm just trying to say.
Allegation.
Can we please hear how hypothetical that is?
I'm just trying to say. I mean, you know that. In media, all over. I mean, even in hospitals, we have seen. So corruption is across. It's a vice that is cutting across. We wouldn't say that there's including in church. Hata sasa hiyo wanataka tithe in advance. Yes. But that's a different story. I'm saying, so corruption is across. It does not mean that we will stop electing members of parliament, because a few were found in the toilet taking 10,000. We probably now we want to shame the ones who got 10,000, so that there are people who elected them.
Yes.
For example, if I was there, and of course I cannot be, but if I was there, then the people who really would know that our member of parliament went to Bunge and is taking 10,000 in the toilet. So in the next election, let's keep it up, keep him home. Let's get someone who we think is of integrity.
But I think Hamo is raising a point, and maybe it's on corruption, maybe those are allegations, but there just seems to be a very ad hoc and temporary way in which politicians handle these matters. For example, the IEBC, and some may say, is this the same thing we're doing with a referendum? So IEBC, let's just cobble up a committee together and we'll call it bipartisan, and we'll have Orengo and Kiraitu Murungi sit down and put this together and get us a commission. Huh?
We won't be fair to...
It's a question. Is this the same way, again, we're handling the referendum? Because it seems like MPs in Parliament only cobble up something for very temporary convenience, the way you do temporary IEBC. Now we're saying, okay, we can send them home and then we can put another bipartisan committee. And is this the same way you're handling the referendum? That it's very short term.
Do you remember towards the last elections, we had very little time to recruit the IEBC commissioners? And that as even they were beginning to prepare for the elections, they had very little time on their side. In a number of...
Mheshimiwa, was an ODM push.
You
said you are not going to go into the last election with that IEBC. You went to the streets and forced them out.
No.
Knowing full well that the new commission...
It's not an ODM.
We have very little time.
Let me tell you, to say that it was ODM is really not it, because it was supported by everyone else later on. Sometimes, even me as a leader will begin something, and then later on you guys will come and support it. It doesn't mean it is a mark thing. It's just probably there is something that I saw that you didn't see.
Okay.
So let me tell you, because of the mess that we got ourselves into towards last minute, whereby we had to change these guys towards the last minute, and there was inadequate preparations, I think members of parliament are doing the right thing in terms of trying to be ready for to get the commissioners in good time, so that they have had good time, so we don't talk about, oh, we can't replace all of them because of historical issues. So we that's why we want to begin it early.
Okay.
Issues of referendum, because we want whatever is going to be affected in the referendum must take effect in the next government. Okay, we have begun it now. We don't want to begin it in 2021, because when you begin it in 2021, 2022, you're having elections. This is going to be too much. So I think in terms of planning, this is really the right time for us to converse on some of those issues.
Okay, so you think you've started the conversation at the right time. I want us to switch gears to the other conversation we'll have, but let me take a look at some of your feedback on Twitter. Njogu Kinyanjui. These people have no good intentions. To Wanjiko, it's about dynasties. Emmanuel Ruto says, tell that MP we Kenyans also know who will never become president.
Mazambo Said and said, what is the work of these nominated slots? Can't they be removed? Personally, where I come from, these nominated people are driving bigger machines than the governor. Okay, it's not a mistake. It's not makosa mtu kujipanga.
Okay.
We ask.
Atmokera says, Mheshimiwa is talking about the corruption, then inclusion. Can we first deal with corruption before inclusion? Let them tell us how much we have saved on corruption before we can talk about inclusion. This call for referendum is more for them than it is about us. And here's one good one for you. Aqua Jones says, Nyamita has proved to be a vibrant leader with an excellent agenda for all ages. The ODM party, national and local politics, is just another plus. He deserves an even higher seat. Okay, so now let's talk about what's happening in your county and in your constituency. I think that's a good segue into that. Migori has had quite a few, unfortunate incidents, accidents, death of a senator. We saw a by-election, the issues that have bedeviled the governor. But yet, there's something good you're doing in your constituency. Talk to us about which FC?
It's called Migori Youth FC. Migori Youth FC. One is, yes, of course, we have had very bad incidents. In the last regime, we had women rep involved in 2 accidents that have since confined her to a wheelchair. We have lost a senator. We have had issues of allegations around the governor and things that are in court I don't want to talk about. And I can tell you also leaders, speaking on either side. Yesterday I was also on one of your medias and I said, it's just about that time. We need probably a prayer for Migori. And I've challenged my colleague leaders from the governor, senator, and women rep when she gets out. I saw her on Sunday.
Yeah,
I think she's stable. The doctor says she's stable. It's a matter of time. We hope she's going to be back on her feet to serve her people. We wish her a quick recovery. I have challenged our leaders. Let's put our differences aside. But let's get back to God and pray and say, what exactly is it that we're not doing? And I said sometimes it's a bit hypocritical. We see leaders, including myself, going to different churches back and forth, but we can never be in one session to pray together. And so, so I am hoping that before the end of this year, and I want to challenge the governor, Obado, I want to challenge our Senator Chilayako, and our women rep, Dr. Pamela, when she's out, and all my colleague MPs from the 8 constituencies, including Denita, who is now nominated. And I saw Denita also pushing for the same. Let us have a prayer session. Let us talk to each other, not at each other. That Migori, then we can all sit together. Because I saw even in the last by-election, the country is becoming more and more divided, which is really unfortunate. And it's cutting across from all ages, including to the youth. So people are beginning to polarize people on either side. And it's not a really good thing, especially now that we are looking at a more cohesive care. But back to what are the other things that we are doing, other than the other projects that we've initiated across. I mean, the KCPE, I continue to wish them well. In my constituency, we have arranged for them to have lunch for the 3 days in all the primary schools, so the children will not go back to their homes to get food. Some of them come from very far, so walking back to go and have a meal. So I think it's going on very well. I took over a constituency that we had a number of schools where children were still learning under trees, and that's what I'm telling you. Today we have put the plan, and by the end of December, before we get into next term, I want to see not a single school, children learning outside, whereby when it rains, there is no school. And we shared, we are sinking a couple of boreholes in schools. We have done for the first time in the history of the constituency equitable distribution of bursary, whereby, you know, or a number of beneficiaries, bringing hope to other families that, you know, ordinarily would have not thought of their children advancing to the next level of education. Now, for the youth empowerment, one of the things we did, we have a football team, which is really growing. And yesterday, the other time I saw our neighbors, the Shabana FC, celebrating all over that they had got into National Super League.
Yes.
Where we have been.
Snap!
Where we have been. So Migori Youth FC, we are conducting trials from the 1st of, which is tomorrow. Actually after this I'll be on the road. From tomorrow we're conducting trials for the next 4 days. And we're inviting everyone, including from Nairobi all over, because we're going to be playing, the league we're playing is nationwide. Why Migori Youth FC is, we have Migori Youth FC and Migori Youth Talent Academy. So the Migori Youth Talent Academy, we also have football teams for 17 years, all the way below to 7 years. But then now we have the Migori Youth FC that is 17 years and above. So we are now doing trials and trying to get more players to get into the next season. And we want to really do our best. And I want to tell you, I have never seen a team struggling. When they approached me to be their patron, they told me they just wanted, because me, I've always been involved in sports. So when I got into office, they told me, okay, why don't we work together? These boys have had to go without meals. Sometimes they travel by bus for a match to go and play in Mombasa. They arrive in the morning and they play. They don't have means. Sometimes we hire school buses. We have had to get, you know, food from the farms and take them there. They're not paid even a single cent. And I was saying yesterday on TV, I said, if there is anything that the team has that any other team doesn't have, is passion. And I'm seeing now goodwill building from other people to try and support. So we want to do the trials for the next 4 days. After we've done the trials for the next 4 days, on the 7th of December, we want to do a fundraiser to try and raise some money to help us run the clubhouse. And we are looking for sponsors. And if you want Hot 96 to really be the next big thing, I know you're big now, but next big thing, next
football,
and it's for you to be associated with Migori Youth FC. I will call upon all the other leaders to help us support. I mean, let us get something, one positive thing, but it's going to bring Migori to the next level. So we are pretty excited about it. For the next 4 days, and I welcome your team, the media team, to come and see what we're actually doing on the ground. So other than them playing football, the other thing we do is that, you know, some of them are in high school. So we also use through the club, we try and source for money to ensure that they're in school. We have one boy who is in Maseno yesterday, was calling me and telling me, oh, they're about to do exams, he doesn't have money. I spoke to a few people, we have raised that money, we're going to help him pay the school fees. We are also going to go into drug campaign against drug abuse. And,
is that a rampant issue in your constituency, in the county?
Oh yes.
Even in Migori,
Oh yes, it's a big thing, because, you know, boys within a short while they've gone into changa drinking, and you know, it's terrible, and being misused by politicians. We are also taking off the boys, so when they get involved in these sports, they're becoming an example, and we're telling them. One of the things today, Professor Hamo today here is on studio. And this gentleman has just, can you imagine, this gentleman has just been making people laugh. And he's making a lot of money here. And we are saying that even if you don't do very well in school, I'm not saying you're a professor anyway.
Thank you for clarifying.
You should ask him professor in what, but that's a story for another day.
But I'm saying, we are trying to say that even if you don't do well in class, there's still opportunity.
Absolutely.
And we have seen footballers earning a lot of money. So we want to give hope that if you really have talent. Yesterday after a show, one of the boys sent me a message and said, I'm sending you my mom's number. The boy is based in Nairobi. I have passion, I want to come and play there. But see, my mom doesn't think that.
She doesn't
I spoke to the mom this morning. The mom said, okay, fine. I said, I'm going to pick the boy. Actually, today I'm going to pick the boy. We drive home, he goes for trials.
Oh, nice.
That opportunity. So that's what we want to use this club to do, some of those things. Keep them off drugs, keep them off slay queens, keep them off and all this.
And these are stories that you don't hear.
Did you just hear? Mark thinks you earn a lot of money. You're buying lunch today.
Tell me where.
This morning you were saying.
Tell me where. I'm
Thank you.
seated next to him. I mean,
Thank you, Kuweka.
It is not about at lunch. Where?
Ni wapi?
No, thank you for making things worse because this morning we were talking about who's been paid.
Yes.
He was here crying poor and I've not been
Anti-poor.
paid. Now, a whole Mheshimiwa said you earn a lot of money.
Mheshimiwa,
Thank you.
I told you. And
Thank you
tell
very
them
much.
this.
Thank you.
Making people laugh is an intelligent game.
Kabisa.
Usikuja hapa ati ulianguka. Ukianguka huko hapo utaanguka. You can sustain this.
Kweli kabisa.
I mean,
Kweli kabisa.
so
Okay, now see, you've created a little monster. Thank you.
oh
Now
man.
he will not stop talking about this and now he's been endorsed by
Tumechukua
Mheshimiwa.
mtoto unapeleka trials. Umwacha mwingine akifanya trials hapa. Yes. So we are going to do it.
Kabisa, thank
Yeah.
you. And thank you for speaking with us. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. We wish you all the best and we'll
Thank you very
definitely be
much.
keeping tabs on what's happening with Migori Youth FC.
Yes.
And we do hope that those prayers come through for, Migori County. I mean, I think it's really important. And we
Yeah,
wish Dr. Pamela a quick recovery and also our condolences to, her bodyguard and driver, to the family for losing their loved one in that one. Thank you.
Can I have just one last one?
Yes.
And say that in football, and now we're seeing Harambee Stars. We've seen international players, they play international games. But when there is a match at home, they come and captain the team. So we've seen Oluga plays international.
Right.
But when there is a match at home, they come and captain the team. So this debate about Raila having played international that now is not
What? I told you. We did the right thing. Katiba, thank you. Thank you for bringing in.
Give a politician 2
Oh
minutes.
man. Hii kitu
You
wamepiga.
have dropped some 2 big bombshells this morning.
Oh,
Mark
thank you.
Nyamita,
Thank you, guys.
The Honorable, representing the people of Uriri constituency in Migori County. Thank you very much.
And now also Nakuru East.
Yeah. Oh, you've endorsed him, huh?
Yes,
Okay,
hiyo kazi umefanya.
Katiba tuna-
Umefanya.
Yeah, that's
Thank
Professor Amo claiming Mark Nyamita for himself. Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for coming.
Asante sana.
We wish you the best and have a safe trip back home and with the trials that are taking place there. It is now time for the news in just a few minutes, but here's what you need to know. What we're seeing live on Citizen Television. The president is at Uhuru Gardens Primary School. He's visiting the KCP candidates. They look to be praying, and I think he's going to be supervising the opening of the exam papers.
Wow.
Look at those children.
Wow.
They're like, sawa, Prezo has come here. Nikianguka hii, nikidunda hii. This is good. All right, so we will get into the news in just a few minutes. Hemini Gilda will be here to tell us what's happening, what's the latest, and she'll tell us what paper they're just about to sit. This is Hot 96.
Catch Jeff Koinange and Professor Hamo every day, Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Hot 96.